Hey guys, before we get started with this week's episode of Behind the Model with VTubers I Love, I just want to add a little apology to the start. I forgot to turn off the chroma key when I recorded the episode and I didn't double check my OBS, and so sadly some of Vill's wonderfully designed new model, which I'll put over there right now, is see-through because it has green attached to it. However, I hope you still enjoyed the episode. I deeply, deeply apologize to Bill and anyone else for this. But yeah, please, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you. Welcome to Behind the Model, a show diving into the virtual world and exploring its stories with the VTubers who lead the way. Clippers are some of VTubing's unsung heroes. Following the space with the thousands of talents out there is tough work, but clips are an easy way to stay up to date with your favorites. The actual art of clipping, though, is very, very difficult. VTubers I Love, that little crab right there, is a renowned clipper in the indie VTubing space, helping fans stay up to date with, well, the VTubers they love. Now it's time to pick their brain about what goes into the art form. Vil, welcome to Behind the Model.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
No, I'm super glad to have you on. I've seen your clips everywhere in the VTubing space. You actually clip a lot of the VTubers I typically watch as well, so when I wanted to cover clippers and talk about, the space, first port of call was you. But before we get into the clipping, you just had a recent model debut, and a lot of people know you as the crab, but you've got Liv there, who you're resting on the shoulder of. How was the debut? And I guess tell me a little bit about your model, because you've got Liv moving around for you, but you're the mouth that wiggles.
Yep. So, yeah, I guess like the easiest way to explain it is that when I created my YouTube channel, the clip channel, I wanted it to have a very special kind of branding. A lot of the clip channels I saw at the time had random VTubers as their like profile picture, so there wasn't really an easy way to differentiate a lot of the clip channels. And like you might see, like a HoloLive VTuber be their profile picture, but obviously they are not that person. They are just their own clip channel. So I wanted to have my own character that people could like get attached to and like learn more about and like be very, very recognizable. And so I created Liv to be that. And so then after I created her, I didn't want her to be alone. I wanted her to have like another little companion or friend that would like be with her all the time. And so I created the crab. The crab was never meant to be me. It was just like a fun little companion. And then eventually when I realized that I wanted to become a VTuber, I still wanted to incorporate Liv into my VTubing, but again, I'm not Liv, so I wanted to think of how to incorporate her while still making a very clear distinction. And I was like, oh, well, I have that crab character. Yeah, I guess I'll be the crab. And I love it. And honestly, I'm glad that I ended up really liking it. Because a lot of people will make their VTuber design and then realize it's not for them, or they don't like it, or it doesn't fit them. And no, I enjoy being a little crab that hangs out with Liv. It's I like it, especially because when I'm streaming, I never feel alone. I always feel like I have someone here with me.
That's an added upside. You've got it's funny. The crab was meant to be the companion, but now Liv is the companion for the crab.
Yeah, exactly. I like to think that we are emotional support for each other. That's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you touched on it a bit there with your backstory in terms of, needing to get a character to start in the VTubing clipping space.
Yeah.
What kind of prompted you to be a clipper in the first place, though?
Honestly, it's a mixture of things, because I really got into VTubers after the announcement of HoloLive EN, and the first gen came out. I really enjoyed Calliope Mori, and I started reaching out into other, VTubers and then indie VTubers. And the more I looked into it, I also found out about clippers, and I watched clips. I enjoyed clips, and I really wanted to get out of the current job I was in. And so when I was thinking about other things I'm good at or that I could do, I realized, that these clip channels existed, and I'm like, well, I know how to do video editing. Like I could definitely do that. And I like VTubers, so I think there's something like unique I can bring to the space. And I know that a lot of clippers it seemed like they didn't have a very forward-facing personality. They usually just kind of clipped and threw, you know, videos out into this YouTube space, and that's it. Like, not a lot of people know about the people behind the clip channels, and so I was like, maybe I can, you know, be that bridge, and people can like learn more about me as a person and like as a clipper. So it's not like I'm not some random entity. It's like people know who I am and they've seen me around, and they know that I care about the people I clip because they see me in the chats or making my own content and stuff like that. So yeah, so that got me, that prompted the idea of like, well, I can do that. I can try it out. So I made the clip channel, and yeah, I was lucky that, you know, over the like 4 or 5 months, it really started doing well, and it did well enough that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna throw all my effort into this and try to see what I can do if I spend my full time just working on clipping and doing content creation.
And I guess like you had a background that maybe gave you a slight advantage in the VTubing space in terms of the clipping and the promotional stuff. Do you mind touching on that a little bit?
Yeah, sure, of course. So I went to school for journalism.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I know that we have that in common, which I love. I love that we have that in common. But I realized that I didn't really like journalism as a whole. Like, I liked some of it, aspects of it, but I thought I wanted to go into broadcast journalism, which is like being in front of a camera. But the problem though is that I didn't like reading a prompter. It actually made me extremely anxious and nervous, and so I felt horrible because the crew hated me. They were my friends, but they also hated me because we'd be there for like an extra hour or two because I just keep messing up my lines. So I didn't like that. Then I went into, so within my journalism degree, you can pick like different specializations and tracks, and my the track that I picked was PR marketing. So I learned a lot about, you know, marketing and that kind of thing, and so I was able to kind of use those skills to, I think, better market myself as a person and content creator and you know, YouTube channel. So I think I had a leg up there, and yeah, I really enjoy what I do now. And even though it's not exactly, you know, journalism or marketing, I think that those skills very much play a part in what I do, because not only do I market myself, but also I'm still technically in front of a camera.
Yeah.
You know, like right now I'm in front of a camera. So it's kind of still broadcast, but I'm not reading a prompter. It's all off the cuff. And I think I prefer that because I don't feel anxious, because I don't have to worry about messing up my lines. I can just kind of talk very naturally. I think that helps.
Oh, that's confirmed that Behind the Model is not scripted. There we go. You know.
Yeah, there you go, everybody. Yeah, no script, no script.
No script involved in this. If it's not journalism and it's not marketing and it's kind of content creation, what then is VTuber clipping as an art form to you?
I think this might be a boring answer, but it's kind of the most simple one. It's video editing, right? Like that's essentially what you're doing. But then everyone has their own styles and like what they bring to the table. Like even though I feel like I've done pretty well for myself on the clip channel, there are people who are way better at editing than me. Right, like I've seen some people who do some amazing meme edits or some awesome kind of subtitles, and yeah, like I'm always really impressed with the kind of work that everyone does. And so each clip channel has its own kind of editing style or types of clips that they like to post. And honestly, you can think of it as not only is the work video editing, but it's also curation. Because when people come to your channel, they might subscribe to you for a certain type of content. And if you start posting clips that go against the kind of content that you're known for, your audience might watch it less because they're like, wait, this isn't what I subscribed for. This isn't why I, you know, so it's kind of your job to like build that audience of like, okay, well, what kind of clips do you want to post? Who are the VTubers that you're clipping and why? And, you know, that's its own whole conversation topic.
Yeah. I guess then, what prompted you to become a clipper and choose the niche that you decided, which is quite, I wouldn't say it's unique to yourself, but you have found a selection of VTubers that you do clip that very few others do.
So the way that I picked is really, I mean, it partially goes into my name. You know, my full name is VTubers I Love.
Mm.
And the reason for that is because I wanted to make sure that if people saw my name, they kind of automatically recognize like, oh, if I'm clipping this person, it's because I like enjoy them as a content creator. This must be a VTuber that I love if they're on my channel. And so I kind of started going through, and like I myself am a very kink positive person, but I am also someone who enjoys very like wholesome moments and types of people and that kind of thing. So I didn't want to lock myself into just clipping like lewd moments or anything like that. I wanted to kind of have a nice balance of, you know, yes, I like clipping VTubers who are very kink positive and enjoy joking and talking about those topics, but I also like VTubers who can also be wholesome, and if a VTuber is a nice mixture of the two, then that's kind of the nice sweet spot. But yeah, I try to clip people who I enjoy personally and that I watch actively. So if I'm clipping someone, it's not all the time, but most of the time, it's not like it's someone I like actively watch on like a regular basis.
I guess that makes it a little bit easier for you to actually go through the process of clipping, having to watch VODs or go through timestamps to then curate your content, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously if you like someone,
like
it's easier.
No, absolutely. Well, and in a way that makes it harder because it means that I'm spending extra time not just clipping and video editing, but I'm spending time literally sitting at my computer watching other streams. And sometimes that's very time consuming, but to me, I do see it as being worth it simply because that means that I get to know the VTubers more intimately, and I know I get to clip moments that most other VTuber clippers may not see or may not clip, because a lot of the time they might just go right to like, let's say they want to clip someone and they just go right to their Twitch clips and they take something from there, right? Like that's available for anybody and anyone can technically clip that. But if it's not something that's already been clipped via Twitch and it's just something I saw with my own eyes and I thought was a moment that I really personally liked or connected with, then I can write it down like on a notepad, come back later, clip the timestamp, and then there's a unique clip right there that I have that possibly no one else has seen or would think to clip.
Okay. And I guess VTubing relies on clippers in a way. There is a lot of talk that I have seen, and I've spoken to people before that have said, I only grew off the back of clippers. Like, you know, clippers have given me, you know, this audience that I never thought I would have. Do you kind of see it as like a little bit of like a symbiotic relationship that by you growing and the VTubers growing, everyone kind of gets an increased share of the pie?
Oh, very, like, I think you nailed it right on the head. I will always be someone who, I don't know how to put it. I'm someone who will always lift up the other VTubers in a way where it's like, hey, my content would not exist without their work. So their work is paramount, right? Like they're, you know, yes, I will have, you know, like I'm very happy if my clips help someone else and get them more reach, but it's hard for me to like take credit for that kind of thing because obviously even though like, yes, I think my work is valuable and it helps get it in front of people, if they didn't do the streaming and the work to make that content, then I wouldn't have anything to clip. So, you know, I always say that, you know, like the VTubers are paramount, but yes, like it is certainly a symbiotic relationship, and it's helped myself and other VTubers in a way where it's like we feed into each other where, you know, maybe I clip someone when they're smaller, and then the more I clip them, the bigger they get, and the bigger they get, the more of a following they have, so more people want to watch my clips, and it just kind of feeds into itself.
Mm.
So I very much like that sort of relationship, as opposed to clipping really big VTubers who already have a following and are already have that huge audience. Like, not to say I don't clip those people. I certainly do sometimes. But there's something really nice to me about having that intimate relationship of like knowing a VTuber really well and being able to help each other in that regard.
I mean, you have all of these VTubers you love. Do you have a
Yeah.
specific favorite VTuber to clip?
I will simply say this just because these are the two VTubers that I clip the most often, especially
Okay.
in recent time.
Yep.
I never want to pick a favorite VTuber, right? Because I like everybody. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But just strictly going by numbers, I will say Vexoria the Sun Eater, and Sanshin. They are both also just very nice people. I'm friends with both of them. And Vexoria, I've been clipping since before she officially debuted.
Okay.
So yeah, like we were both very small. She was someone who I very much vibed with and whose content I connected with because she was such a kink positive person. And she was also just very like also on the one hand kink positive, on the other hand also very family oriented, and she like didn't shy away from talking about her family and that sort of thing. And I thought that was really nice. That was a nice mix of the lewd and wholesome that I was mentioning earlier. So I kind of saw something in her content that I believed in, and I said, all right, I'm just going to keep clipping her. I'm going to clip her almost every day, and we're going to see what happens. And just naturally over time, she got bigger, I got bigger, and it just went from there. So a lot of my YouTube audience, enjoys watching Vex for that reason. And then Sanshin, she was someone who debuted in the last 2 or 3 months. And like she's very level-headed, kind of more soft-spoken, also like very family-oriented, and also something I want to see more in the VTuber scene is I like seeing more like tomboy type model designs. Also, hi, you can see Liv here. That's part of it too. But so San had kind of a similar design, and so I was like, okay, well, I would like to clip this person. I clipped their debut, and then I clipped them 2 or 3 more times, and one of those clips blew up in the YouTube algorithm and got over, I think it was like 120,000 views or something like that.
Okay.
And so, yeah, she got a huge influx of viewers and followers, and it didn't stop. A lot of people think like, oh, well, you'll get this burst of views from the algorithm, but then, eventually eventually you'll slow down, right? I think Sun's model and her personality has been enough to sustain that audience, and so basically I gave her a little push, but it's been all her own effort that has kept her growing more and more over time.
I guess with the similarities between the VTubers that you clip in terms of the likes and interests that you have, that crossover,
Sure.
Does that help you foster a community that you wanted in the VTubing space for yourself, whether it be just through your clip content or through your streaming content, your brighter VTuber content?
Yes, absolutely. So I decided that when I wanted to start streaming, when I was thinking about what kind of community I wanted, something I always joke about is like, I wanted something that fit with my clipping YouTube channel, because if someone came to my stream and it was nothing like it, like it would be very jarring. So imagine you enjoy my VTuber clip channel and then you come to my stream and I just play Call of Duty all day. Like,
yeah, okay.
I think that'd be, yeah, like that would be very weird and jarring, and I don't think people would enjoy that. So I was trying to think of what I could do that people would enjoy watching if they also enjoy my clips. And so I do a lot of, I do something called Vaporwave Vibing, where I invite VTuber friends to come on, and it's like a little talk show where you just kind of hang out and get to know each other better. And we talk about, VTubing, life, and kinks. And as I mentioned before, because kinks are an important part for me, I made one of my pillars of my community to be kink positive and be very accepting of those things, so I could wholly be myself and encourage others to be the same, while at the same time promoting things like respecting people's boundaries and making sure that there's a time and place for everything, right? So while it might be okay to talk on my stream about kinks, or maybe on Vexoria's stream, who's very open about that stuff, you can't go to any VTuber stream and talk about that stuff. So
Yeah.
I try to like make sure that people know, like, hey, it's cool to talk about it here, but you need to be very aware and self-aware of like time and place to talk about certain things. So I enjoy that. Yes, I have my VTuber clips, but then I also have a very it partially plays a part in my streaming, but I've also built my own community, and yeah, I'm proud of what I've built so far.
You have circled a lot around to this like kink positive space that you're fostering, and I want to tie it into the lewd tubing space, as they like to call it more broadly. Do you think the content that you do and the work that you do in terms of highlighting these specific streamers helps destigmatize the space a little bit?
I hope so. I don't know if it does, honestly, but I think it does. I hope that's kind of my goal is, and same thing with my streaming. I hope that by making a community that revolves around, being kink positive and being okay with lewd topics, and also clipping people who are the same way, I think that it hopefully reaches other people who maybe haven't thought about it as being as normal as it is, and hopefully it makes it seem like it, like you said, it just helps normalize it. But even if it doesn't reach those people, I at the very least hope it reaches people who do feel the way that we do, that of being more comfortable with these topics, because I think that a lot of people grew up thinking that those topics are very taboo, and so they might be ashamed or embarrassed about those things. And so by talking about it openly, we are naturally making a space for those people to feel comfortable and not feel that way anymore.
I've got a couple more broader clipping topics that I want to cover off before we reach the pointy end. The first of them is actually from the interview that I did with you. By the time this episode comes out, it would be 2 weeks ago. So about the monetization issue with clippers on YouTube, and how YouTube considers the clipping content reused content from time to time. What are the kinds of challenges that you have to navigate with these platforms where the work that clippers do falls in between fair use and transformative, and the definitions of that?
It's honestly very difficult, because on the one hand, so it's a clipper's job to create the content and to edit things to be in a way that is transformative, and whether that's adding subtitles, like cutting out dead air that might be on like a stream platform, you can make it more easily consumable for an audience on YouTube, by like panning or zooming in at certain points for like emphasis, making meme edits, that kind of thing. Like there's ways that you can definitely transform it, but the question with YouTube is like, well, what counts as it being transformative? And also, should that matter if the VTubers in question have given their permission to upload that content? So, it's very strange that YouTube, with that reused content policy, have said that they don't care if the people have given their consent. They just don't want reused content on their platform. But what's also odd is that in the past, I've been hit with the reused content policy, and it was specifically for VTuber meme reaction videos. So basically, VTubers were reacting to V2 meme videos that already exist on YouTube. And so you saw that as essentially the same thing as re-uploading the same video, just with like a very minor change.
Right.
And so, you know, if that's how they feel, then great. You know, okay, we move away from that content. We don't do that anymore. So I understand that. And after I removed that content, they reinstated my monetization. So they saw that I removed those compilations, and I instead, you know, just stuck to normal VTuber clipping. And they were like, yep, this is okay. We've given you your monetization back. Now it seems like some other types of clip channels are also getting hit, ones that aren't doing the kind of compilation content. So at this point, my question is, what is the line that YouTube is drawing that it's now targeting some of these channels? Because then that means something must have changed in the last 3 months if they just gave me my monetization back 3 months ago and they said my content was okay. So is there something in these other clip channels that they are targeting specifically that they don't like? Because my channel hasn't been hit yet. You know, I haven't been affected since then. I don't know if some of the other bigger clip channels, it seems like they're doing fine as well. So that's what I'm wondering is, I wish that YouTube was much more transparent about what does and doesn't count as crossing this line, because they refuse. They will tell you when you've done something wrong and that you've violated their policy, but they won't tell you what video violated their policy or like what moment violated the policy. A lot of the times they just say, hey, you violated our policy, fix it. But they won't tell you how. So imagine you have a boss and that boss says, hey, you messed up this report. I need you to fix it by next week. But I won't tell you what you messed up. You just have to fix it and guess. And also, I'm going to cut your pay. I'm not going to pay you for the next month. Have fun. You know, like that's the way YouTube is treating us. And it's very frustrating. And I hope that the clip channels that have been affected, you know, I hope they get their monetization back. But I also hope that YouTube isn't truly targeting all clip channels, because that would, you know, it would just be not only bad for me and everybody else, but also it just adds on to, like I said, YouTube is not transparent at all with any of its policies, and I hope that they change that.
And it's an additional thing, is it's like a negative for the VTubing space as well, because we spoke about at the top that, you know, clippers are critical for the ecosystem in terms of capturing the YouTube algorithm, getting smaller VTubers or even larger VTubers and getting their content out there to a wider audience.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't get as much reach anymore. And here's the problem too. It would actually kind of create this divide between VTubers, because people who are doing well enough right now that they can hire editors to get their content out on YouTube are fine. They're not going to be affected. But VTubers who are small enough that they can't hire editors to do that are going to be the ones most affected, because a lot of the ways that they get extra eyes on them are from VTubers showing off their stuff. And if VTubers can't do that anymore, if clippers can't do that anymore on YouTube, then they're going to lose a lot of those extra eyes on them. And I think that's really unfortunate.
Your clips are quite a different style to a lot of VTuber clips out there. A lot of the VTuber clips that you can kind of see out there are short. They're very, like, with less than a minute. Well, the one thing that I've noticed when I've watched your clips is they can go on for 3, 5, 10 minutes, and they are full. They almost feel like full cutouts and highlights of a stream versus just a funny clip of an out of context moment. What kind of led you to that deliberate decision in terms of your clipping style? And can you speak to the kind of broader styles of VTuber clipping?
Absolutely. So I think that not all, but most clip styles are 30 seconds to a minute. And it's just the most bite-sized, like, funniest part of a stream. And, you know, you get the punchline and the clip ends. And I think that that's a great kind of content. And I actually sometimes question if my kind of content is even the best way of doing things. Sometimes I wonder if I should make my videos shorter. So, you know, I'm certainly not saying that my way of clipping is, you know, the best by any means. But the reason why I chose that, and the reason why I've kind of stuck by it, is because a lot of the time I don't just clip a funny little out of context thing and then move on. Most of my clips are actually like either like stories that the VTubers are telling about their life, or maybe they talk about something that's happened to them, like a memory or something funny that happened to them that day.
Yep.
And those can't be cut down to 30 seconds, right? A lot of the time they're full on stories. But what I like about that is, to me, it feels like I think my content can be pretty good. Like sometimes you might get a short clip that's a funny little lewd moment or something like that, and that's great. But then also some of my videos can be something where if you're having lunch and you only have like 5, 10, 15 minutes and you want to sit down and go through some of my clips, and they're like short little stories, it almost feels like you're having a conversation with someone, or you're learning about the life of a VTuber and something like that. And so I don't know, I like doing a mix of things. I don't like doing just one kind of thing, but I guess that's why a lot of my clips are longer, is because I like having those meteor clips that give you insight into the VTuber. And sure, there might be jokes sprinkled in between, but usually there's either some kind of like, I don't know, moral or like funny little story that can't be compiled down into 30 seconds.
I guess there is no exact science to VTuber clipping, right? There is no one size fits all approach.
Yeah. Absolutely. So like I said, I don't think mine's the best way to do things, but it's certainly my way, and I think that maybe some people, that's why they subscribe to me. It's a way that could set my content apart from other clippers.
To round this all out, how much more love for VTubers do you have? Do you have any more space in that crabby little heart to clip more VTubers?
I mean, listen. I have all the love that I can offer. No joke. I mean, there's no amount there's no too much. I always like finding new VTubers. There's almost new VTubers debuting every single day, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always someone new, and you never know who is going to be the next, big VTuber, or who, and even if they're not the next big VTuber, I think they also just deserve to have some spotlight on them, because everyone has something unique that they bring to the table that might be a diamond in the rough that you never know a viewer is going to really connect with. So I like to make as many VTuber friends, as I can, because there's a lot of really nice people in this community that deserve that love, and I want to try to spread that.
And what about your streaming side of things? How are you going to tie that all into, the future of your content?
So like I said, I think the biggest way is the vaporwave vibing that I do, where I bring on, you might see a VTuber in my clips, but then you also see them on my stream, and we're hanging out and chatting. And to me, it feels almost like I want my vaporwave vibing streams to feel like the VIP room after a concert. Like you're hanging out, chilling, everyone's relaxing, and you're just kind of talking about life, or like what's going on, people, the stuff everyone has on their minds, and that kind of thing. It's not like this bombastic show, and like I love those kind of streams. I watch those streams, but that's not the kind of streaming I want to do. I like having kind of like what we're doing here, actually. You know what I mean? Like I like just being able to have a chill, nice chat, and so I feel right at home here. So thanks for having me.
Well, no, thank you for coming on. It's been really good to get a little inkling into your story, see all the love that you have for the VTubing space, and bring a bit of information and enlightenment to what actually goes into VTuber clipping. So Bill, thank you so much for coming on Behind the Model.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been fun.
VTubers I Love, or Vil, is the latest guest on my new series, Behind the Model, diving into the stars who make VTubing the creative medium we love. If you're interested in more of Vil's story, you can read the accompanying article linked in the description. You can also find all of Vil's social media channels below. If you enjoyed the episode, I really appreciate you liking and subscribing down in the description below. If you have any feedback, leave it in the comments or hit me up on Twitter. I'll be sure to read it. Until next time, thank you.